Hi everybody, on today's news video we are going to talk about the tragic passing of Jay Briscoe, just 38 years old. Passed away yesterday, unfortunately involved in a fatal car accident in his hometown of Laurel, Delaware. Man, I don't even really know where to begin with this one. It's always tough to come and approach subjects like this, but particularly when it was someone who was just 38 years old, a father, a husband. Let's just talk about some of the facts to kick this thing off. So local media reported that the crash occurred at around 5:30 yesterday, and it left 2 people, unfortunately, dead as a result. Jay Briscoe, real name Jamin Pugh, one of them. Dave Meltzer has reported that Jay's brother Mark was not in the car, but 2 children were hospitalized. That's what happened. That's how it went down. Jay Briscoe, man, let's just dive into some wrestling stuff with this, because I think, that's the best way to get through this stuff. A legendary pro wrestler, without a question. He'd been in the game since the year 2000, right? So this guy's 38 years old at the time of passing. He'd been wrestling since he was 16. Yeah. It's crazy stuff. One of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time. I think that's undisputed. 13-time Ring of Honor tag team champion alongside his brother Mark. Very important figure for that company throughout its entire existence, including its peak years when it was really rising to the top in the mid-2000s. And up until the present day, having those matches with FTR last year, the acclaimed trilogy, winning the belts in their final match, that dog collar match at Final Battle. And as a singles wrestler as well, when he finally won the Ring of Honor Championship, when he beat Kevin Steen, it was just such, for that company and those fans, just such a special moment because he was so important to it throughout. And, that match in particular is a personal highlight of mine, and the win and everything else. I think, it's natural when a wrestler or a public figure passes away to kind of go to your own experiences with them. And I don't want to do that too much because obviously, the most important thing here is that a father, the kids no longer have their dad as a result of what's happened here. And, the closest impacted people are always the family and the people who worked with him and his friends and everyone else who was personally connected with the guy. I'm really flabbergasted by this whole thing. 38 years old, it's no age whatsoever. It's an impossibly sad day, and I don't really know how to do it justice.
No, exactly. I'm going to read some tributes from wrestlers in a second. But like I say, just devastating news. I woke up, I had no idea about any of this morning. I'm watching NXT, and they cut to Vic Joseph, and he puts on that solemn voice. And I'm thinking, an older wrestler has passed away. Sure. And then when he says Jay Briscoe, it hits you like a ton of bricks, doesn't it? And like you say, that you can tell what he meant across this industry by the reactions from across the board. Tributes paid obviously by the companies, AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, etc. As I mentioned, WWE mentioned it on NXT last night. I'm going to read some tweets here because that's all I can really do. Tony Khan tweeted, sadly, Jamin Pugh has passed away, known to fans as Jay Briscoe, who's a star in Ring of Honor for over 20 years, from the first show until today. Jay and his brother Mark dominated Ring of Honor, reigning as champions to this day. We'll do whatever we can to support his family. Rest in peace, Jamin. Sami Zayn saying, I don't have the words right now to properly convey my sorrow. I love Jay and Mark Briscoe, always have. I wouldn't be here without them. I'm very lucky to have shared the ring and shared so many laughs with Jay Briscoe. I'm so sad to know neither will happen again. R.I.P. my friend Christopher Daniels saying Jay Briscoe was one of the toughest men I've ever had the privilege of sharing a ring with, as well as being a tremendous brother, father and man. I'm so happy to have had the opportunity to know him and wrestle him as often as I did. Rest in peace, Jay. I love you. Some touching tributes from Triple H, Shawn Michaels. Davey Richards posted an incredibly emotional video. Adam Pearce has a lovely story that he tells, which you should go and check out on his Twitter. But I think Ian Riccoboni sums it up nicely. Jay was one of a kind. I travel often with Jay and Mark. We couldn't have been more different, but that's what made our friendship something I'll cherish forever. He'd give you the shirt off his back his last time. He was so proud of his kids and loved his family so much. It's just awful, this, obviously, Andy. And like you say, it is natural that people think of their relationship with Jay. Obviously, friends and family come first. You know, for me, when I heard this, we very briefly had him in WCPW, and though I didn't really speak to him that much, the very brief remarks I had with him and his brother Jay, they couldn't have been his brother Mark. Sorry, they couldn't have been nicer. And like you say, I was lucky enough to be there. His match alongside his brother against FTR is my favourite tag team match I've ever seen live. It's just awful, and it's one of those things that brings the whole wrestling world to a standstill, this sort of story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the breadth of the tributes, some of the tributes you've just gone through there, which, by the way, if you go out there, there's thousands.
Yeah, I've picked a few there, but
it speaks volumes of like the people, like the breadth of people that the Briscoes came into contact in wrestling is immense. When you think of all the people who went through Ring of Honor and the various other promotions they worked, from like over in Japan in Noah to CCW and companies like that in the US, it's really vast. I'll talk a little bit about my kind of thoughts on just Jay and the Briscoes in just a second. Just want to get a couple more bits and pieces out of the way. So Laurel School District, Jay's local area, they've actually closing schools today as a result of what's happened today. Our writer Scott Carlson filling in some details on our website with just news of how like it's a really small, close-knit community, and people there have just really been wrought by this, understandably so. We'll note as well that WWE had, you mentioned Vic Joseph's words and tribute on NXT. Lovely to hear, obviously. WWE actually had a funeral segment planned for last night's show. It was the New Day. They were going to host that, but when the news broke, they scrapped that and pivoted away. So that's good sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very glad that segment didn't happen for obvious reasons. So yeah, I mean, the Briscoes, man, like, I've been watching these guys for years, honestly, for years and years. I was a big nerd wrestling fan. I always used to read about like promotions like Ring of Honor on these message boards for years and years and years before I was able to actually be in a position to watch them properly, because back then in like the mid 2000s it was you have to order the DVDs off the website. And the web and Ring of Honor shipped from the US, so for me it was like, oh brother, like I'm gonna have to pay the DVD to ship it. Like it was really tough to get hold of that footage for me personally. I wasn't really into the downloads or whatever. But I've been reading about these legendary matches the Briscoes have been having, like, and against each other and together for years and years, and then I finally got to watch them. It was 2007, April 2007, I think the show was. Good Times, Great Memories. Colt Cabana's farewell show in Ring of Honor. He wrestled Adam Pearce in the main event. So I got that a couple of months. Like, I ordered it online. I was like, I'm finally gonna get to see the Briscoes here. I'm gonna finally see this legendary tag team. Wait a few months for it to arrive, obviously, production times, crossing an ocean, all of that. And they wrestled the Motor City Machine Guns, or the Murder City Machine Guns as they were in that era. Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, and it's to date one of the most fantastic, mind-blowing tag team matches I've ever seen, and their legacy is full of that. You talk about, you know, the classic Briscoes matches. You got the FTR matches from last year, and I think that would be like a lot of people's first Briscoes matches if they weren't like big Ring of Honor fans. Like, I got into the promotion in like 2007, but like you look at their matches with Kevin Steen and El Generico, sensational. I mean, everyone goes to the ladder war, but the street fight they had that year, in my view, is just as great. There's just a lot of excellent stuff across the board, even in like as recently as 2021. An amazing match with Matt Taven and Mike Bennett of the Kingdom. You can go into Jay's singles career as well, and you can look at his matches with guys like Kevin Steen, like when he won the title. And but the resume is so deep as well. Like David Bixenspan pointed out on Twitter today, and it just refreshed my memory of this match. But they had a match with Samoa Joe and Homicide in like 2006. I think it was on one of the Glory by Honor shows. It was on the same night as Kenta versus Bryan Danielson, which is a legendary Ring of Honor match, and the only reason we don't remember the Homicide Samoa Joe match with the Briscoes is because of that. That's just like my relationship with them as a tag team. Now, obviously, we understand the reasons why they weren't on AEW TV, and we understand the reasons that they were never in WWE. We've spoken about that at the time, and you know, it's not our position to sit here and go, you know, those comments or whatever. People should forgive them forgive Jay for that. We're not in the position to make that judgment call. and we never will. People close to him have obviously vouched for him and said he's reconciled and changed and so forth. So we have that, you know, we should mention that side of the thing for sure. But I think today the most important thing is that a 38-year-old father has perished in tragic circumstances. I'm really shaken up by this, to be quite honest. And people like us who are just fans are the least important people in this story. It's the people close to him, the people connected to him, and 38 years old is no age at all. It's a horrible way to start the day, and I think that just about concludes my thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. I think what you said there is the best way you can pay tribute to Jay is obviously, as the likes of AEW and many others have said they're going to do, go out and support Jay's friends and family in this tough time. But the best way you can celebrate his memories by going back and watching one of the spectacular Briscoe's matches. And
like I said everything, but like as a performer, man, like the Briscoes great. I think the Briscoes are one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Yeah. I think they should be in the conversation with the Rock and Roll Express, with the Hardy Boys, with whoever you want to name, right? But like Jay specifically, he was so authentic.
Yes.
Like he felt so real. Like his promos are terrifying. Yeah. This guy just like he's in the background of his chicken farm and he's shouting down the microphone, and like there's one that someone shared this morning where he's talking about Davey Richards wearing a mouthpiece in the ring, and he's just like, man, Terry Funk didn't wear no mouthpiece. Bruiser Brody didn't wear no mouthpiece. Jay Briscoe was, you know, complicated guy.
Yeah.
We've spoken about that, and we stand by all of it. One of a kind pro wrestling talent, phenomenal. He will be sorely missed.
Yeah, let us know your memories of him and your favourite matches in the comments, and we'll bring you any and all information we can as this story develops. But R.I.P. Jay Briscoe. Thanks for watching. He's been Andy. I've been Adam. We'll see you soon.